Hi, Anka. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, good morning. A little bit sleep deprived thanks to a dog scared of the wind. But then, he's entitled to his opinion, right?
Of course, of course. So, somebody who follows us asked me if we would talk about grief in a relationship.
Hmm.
And without going into a lot of detail of what he wanted, it's a great topic. And I'll tell you my take on it, and I'm really happy to hear your take on it. And today, this week, I experienced grief technologically as well. So I thought, great topic. So, when it comes to relationships, there's always a part of the relationship that we mourn. In other words, you could have two people who are on different sides of a political spectrum, people who are on a different religious spectrum. And there are two things that I'd like to offer people to consider. The number one is, are you gaining more then you're not gaining by having this person have a completely different perspective on something that really means a lot to you. It's not just he likes coffee, you like tea. This is something that has a value to you and it's really important. The other thing is, so you might go out with a couple who are both Democrats, right? And you've got this Republican Democrat thing going on, and it's like a dagger in your heart. Wow, it's so beautiful that they're on the same page. They both like hiking and camping and right, and that's something that you really want, and it's not there in your relationship. So we all have that. We all have that little piece of mourning something that isn't there. My husband's not as outgoing as somebody else's husband, but then you weigh that up. Is it worth your while staying? Are you getting more? And is that mourning worth your while in the relationship? And the other thing that came up for me technologically was a beautiful thing because I know this is where you see people kind of mourning. My cell phone died and I had to replace it. And what does that mean? I'm going to have to get used to a new cell phone, etc., etc. And this young man in the shop who sold me the phone, he turned around and he said to me, "There's nothing to fear. It's so simple." And just that, I took myself off home, and it's really a very familiar phone to me. And I spent half an hour on a YouTube getting to learn features that I would never even have known were in the phone. Because I always say, I don't need a phone. I just need to hear somebody's voice and they can hear my voice. But it was suddenly he took the fear out of it. Let's see what you've just gotten. Let's pause, take time, and see if you can learn something. And with that, I opened my mind and the transition was really smooth. I didn't spend much time mourning the old phone. Just that being able to be open, and it's the same with relationships. If you can be open, what is the other one's perspective of this? Can I just hear what makes you feel so sure about your opinion? And can I be curious without judgment? We can sometimes cross the bridge or we can agree to disagree. And I feel a lot of that's resonating with you. What's coming up for you?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the key, the way I see it, the key, you've just said it, is like when you can replace fear with curiosity, it's usually a golden moment in one way or another. I laughed when you talked about the phone because, like, my mum was like that. She was like, I don't want a phone. I like, she was basically, her thing was always the internet is like just cat photos and porn. I don't want to know, right? So she literally wanted nothing to do with it until, and dad is quite, he's into stuff. So he was using video editing software before I even knew what it was. So, they're quite opposite on the
Right.
spectrum there. So he, at some point, did, like for her birthday or something, got her a smartphone. And she was like, I don't want it. And then they went to her birthplace. And she was basically, was standing in front of the house where she was born and spent the first few years of her life. And and that is like now, it was Germany then, it's now, it's back, it's Poland again, right? So they're basically there in Poland. is standing in front of his house and these people come out. Well, yeah, my mom doesn't speak Polish and these people don't speak German. Well, that's when my mom discovered that that little phone had something that allowed her to communicate. She got a little app that allowed her to speak into the phone in German, and these people would speak into the phone in Polish, and they spent the entire afternoon together, had cakes, and she got to see the house with me inside, and it was just one of those unforgettable days, right? That really, and ever since, she's sending me WhatsApp videos, and she's making little collages and whatever, so it's like, that really, and sometimes we need a moment like that to really break things open, and I think there's always a gift underneath every, call it challenge, I usually would call it shit pile, but it's like there's always a diamond, and I think we rarely see it when we're in the middle of it. Like when you're in the middle of grief, you probably don't see it,
Right.
but it's like, I think the more, or what, I mean, it's even like whatever the challenge is, if you're in the middle, in the thick of the storm, you don't see it. I think what is helpful is to remember, like, look, if you look back at any other situations, there's always one, so, and again, if you can be in the middle of it and think, well, I don't know what the diamond's going to be here, but I know there will be one, that already shifts the perspective.
Right.
And I see it, well, hell, I see it on the tech front all the time, and I think most of the time it says more about our expectations than the thing itself.
Right. So you were saying, remember that there's that diamond, and I love that. I would say, remember love, remember the whole. Are you in this relationship? Are you getting more from this relationship by staying here and mourning what you're not getting, what the loss is, or not? And I think it also helps one remember. We kind of wish, we could find our gods and goddesses who are just going to wave their magic wand and we are going to feel whole and wonderful. But it doesn't happen like that.
Oh, that
We
doesn't work that way, does it?
collide with their human flaws and they collide with ours. And the rest of our lives together is learning to manage that.
Yeah. And it's got nothing to do with them, right? It has nothing to do with they
100%.
do. And I think what I always find interesting to watch, like observe myself, is that the perception of something changes, like on a minute-to-minute basis. There can be something my partner does that drives me nuts on days, and I'm a little like, and I'm a little kind of like, well, I don't know, like I have one of those days.
Touchy.
Somebody can do the tiniest thing and it'll annoy me. And then I can be, if I'm in a chilled space and if I've slept well and, and I've just be in a peaceful place, that same thing can happen. Somebody cutting in front on traffic, I can go like, or I'm like, oh, well, you seem to have a shit day, so it's like, but it's me, it's my state of mind that shifts,
Right.
so, and it has nothing to do with them. And so I think to just go with the flow like that and recognizing that you don't need them to be any different, and I think and especially in that relationship, and I guess, and the funny thing is, I was like, so this is hilarious, like I could say the same thing about software, really, it's like, yeah, you're never going to find the one platform that does it all.
Because
Like,
we
there's
don't.
always,
We're also not perfect.
but that's the thing. Like, somebody will build something with something in mind, and you now all of a sudden want something different, and so it's exactly the same thing. And I think it depends on if you decide to focus on all the things that aren't right, and you're going to struggle with that thing, And if you focus on, okay, what are the things that do make my life easier? If you more kind of pay, it's like what you pay attention to, you see more of.
Right.
Because it's a spiral too, and it can go both ways. And you get to choose which way you want to go.
And yeah, and I love you reminding us to just sometimes breathe ourselves down, to take a pause and think, what is beyond here? What is that diamond? And in the Talmud, the beautiful thing you said about the diamond, how do you actually clean and brighten a diamond? You take another diamond and it goes, it makes the most awful sound and you get the most beautiful result. And that's what relationship is. It sometimes makes this awkward sound and it's awkward and it's uncomfortable and relationships are messy. And as you say, they're minute to minute. It's not something out there.
Yeah.
Perceptions change, feelings change. We can breathe ourselves down. He cut in front of me. Okay, I don't have to. That's his. I don't have to get angry and rageful about that.
Mm-hmm.
And to just take that pause if we
Yeah.
can. Thank you, Anka, for being here
Well, thank
today.
you. Thank
After a
you.
long